Thank you, Gilbert, for that wonderful prelude. Thank you so much. So beautiful. Well, good morning, Miracle Center for Spiritual Living, and welcome to Miracle Center Sunday morning service. Today is January 8th, 2023. Our monthly theme this month is Root and Reboot. And the weekly topic title says the universal voice, but our yearly title is Living Out Loud. So if you would like to join me, and I will say the invocation to bless this morning's service. So just turn within, center to that quiet, still place, that peaceful place where we know we can turn to God at that place. Divine Spirit, beloved God, the one source, the first cause, the all in all, the all that is. We recognize your presence right here, right now, for we are of this presence of God that is everywhere, intelligent, all powerful, and everywhere present. We are of this presence. And we just give thanks that this presence is always with us. All the power, all the wisdom of the universe is at hand. This power is love. And this intelligence is divine, deep, clear, true wisdom. And we just give thanks for this. And as we are one in this one magnificent consciousness that God is, I just bless this morning's service. I bless this community coming together at this time. And I just bless that the miracles just abound, for wherever love is, there is miracles. And there is miracles at Miracle Center for Spiritual Living. So giving thanks for this morning's service and giving thanks for each and every one of us partaking in these lessons, partaking in this feeling of community and loving spirit. We just give thanks, and together we say, and so it is. Amen. Okay. Well, welcome to this house of God. Going to the program. Around the globe, there is one song playing, the song of life itself. Begin your day recognizing your connection to this one life, one love, and through this, hear yourself through the divine voices of all those around you. And our one sentence affirmation is, as God is, I am, we are. As God is, I am, we are. Beautiful. So our monthly theme, we begin the year with an examination of the fundamental principles of science of mind, heavily informed by the companion book, Living the Science of Mind. This month, we focus on the universality of this teaching, with an emphasis on the truth that we are not only of spirit, but also in spirit. As we remember our divine essence, we take our rightful place by taking personal responsibility for our actions, while extending generosity and compassion to others. We deepen our practice for the benefit and enrichment of the whole of humanity, this earth's creatures and the earth itself. So beautiful to be reminded of this in the Science of Mind teachings. So today's topic, as God is, so I am. This is one of the fundamental truths of our teaching. Each one of us is divinely connected to that one source, that one divine intelligence. Traditionally, our teaching has focused on the power of the individual. This has led some to criticize us as being self-centered and unconcerned with our neighbors. Holmes spoke very clearly that as I am, so we all are. Our goal is to realize not only our own individual power, but to see and work in concert with that same power that exists in and through all souls we meet. And lastly, the Science of Mind point of view. Our teaching tells us to not only live in conscious awareness of the law of cause and effect, in parentheses, as we think, so we experience, parentheses, but also in alignment with that preeminent truth that all is love. We know that the love that is spirit is always for our good. Rather than place human imagined limits on that good, we accept with faith that there is a bigger idea in the I am, and prepare ourselves to receive that good in the best form for us. Additionally, we act and respond in kind from that place of love, that place of a greater idea. That is so wonderful. So the limits, we are limitless, and sometimes we forget that. So without any further ado, I want to introduce our minister, Reverend June Clark, and she is going to speak to us from Lessons from Living the Science of Mind. So welcome, Reverend June.
Good morning, Lynette. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Blessings to everyone. Second Sunday in January. Whew. Does it seem like the year's going fast already? Yeah. I don't know, somehow I said, this Sunday came awfully fast, but it's just good to be here, good to be aware, good to be involved in the evolving of a brand new year, a brand new outlook, a new way of bringing in the new year, in essence, a little different for Science of Mind philosophies in the churches and the role and the directions that we usually start in January with the first 4 chapters of the textbook. And it's nice to have a different shift this year, and using this wonderful book. I can turn it around here if you don't have one, and you might want to get one, Living the Science of Mind. And it's a extension, which a lot of Holmes' books are, on his own philosophy and readings. And it's a very, very enjoyable, I say easy read, has a lot of references. And one I will mention to you immediately, this book, I have to look in the front here, was actually printed, let's see, in 14th printing in 2011. And I found some of the reference pages were a bit off. And one of the things that is a bit off is our principles. And we just read them last Sunday as they've been revamped a little bit, but a word here or two here and there doesn't change anything. It's just someone else's updating, looking at the principles. So if you're using this as your guide, perhaps you might find that the principles are just a little bit listed a little bit differently. So for my part, in getting started here, the reading, as Lynette so joyously read that this morning, set us up for a very good opening for the new year. And going to be looking at some different philosophies a bit, looking at the focus for today, which is getting along with people. That's the focus for this chapter that begins the January issue, plus what we believe, which are our core concepts. So I'm going to be switching back and forth, and I don't think many of you have your Living the Science of Mind book with you, so I'll try and do the best I can with making note of the page that the references are on that I'm going to use in case you want to go back and look at them again. So the bulletin starts here with Holmes says, everyone is a potential Christ, and everyone has inherent God power within. Again, the beginning of the textbook, God is all there is, said in so many different ways, heard in so many different ways. And it's interesting that it is a concept that as much as we hear it, not only from religious science, we hear it in other philosophies, other ministers use it. But like so many things in life, we have to keep at it. We have to keep focusing on it. We have to, beyond that, we have to believe it and we have to live it. So Holmes says everyone is a potential Christ and everyone has inherent God power within. When we see ourselves as Christ's potential, we are being invited into a realm of consciousness that is open at the top. That's an expression you hear often. We are open at the top, in that it is infinite in its ability to express. In its ability to express. That it's is not capitalized, so that means us. And when I think of open at the top, my visual thought is volcanoes. And volcanoes don't get too much attention until they erupt. And then when they erupt, they spew out all of this energy and lava, and they get coverage from the televisions and the movies, and they are such dramatic events. We're open at the top, but I don't think how should I put it? I don't think maybe we express with that vim and vigor and give me some attention attitude like a volcano. I think we go dry, long, so, whatever that means. My father knew what it meant, but because he said it a lot. I think we just go along and we're open. Yes, 99.9.9% of us are open. What do we do with all that openness and the volcano comes out, and then it settles itself back in, and it becomes dormant again. Maybe we need to continue to just using that open at the topness to express who we are within ourselves, and of course to one another, so that what we're individually thinking about doesn't take 15, 16 ballots in order to get the point across. You start with your immediate truth, and that's what you go forward on, the immediate truth. So that is our open at the top. That's our oneness. So now that I've taken my eye off the prize here, let me go back to where I was reading from. When we see ourselves as Christ's potential, we are being invited into a realm of consciousness that is open at the top, in that it is infinite in its ability to express. We just have so much to offer, so much to give. And the multiplicity of us, the simplicity of us, and the multiplicity of us, my goodness, what do we have to offer? What do we have to offer ourselves, and then within ourselves to one another, and then to individualized expressions as each of us to one another, not only in those we live with, those we care about, those we interact with. And we know that that goes beyond and beyond and beyond, beyond, beyond. Are we attuned, as Holmes begins with, we have the potential Christ within us. And if we think of the multiplicity of us, just us in this room, us on this Zoom call, the multiplicity of the goodness, the joy, the harmony, the peace, the health consciousness, the goodness, the positive thoughts, just of us. If we express that and allow this volcano that's within each of us, it's okay to express and to explode out, because people apparently do that when they feel it's necessary to go through 15 rounds of a decision that's already obvious, but just keeps being repeated. And as you know, or if you don't know, that at some point you get what it is that at least you think you're after. But then God says, is it God or is it just a colloquialism? Be careful of what you ask for, because it may not be what you think it's going to be that you've asked for that shows up. And that's a June thought. That's a June Marie Luster Stanford Clark thought. Because of this openness that we have at the top, we tend to spew forth and then look back and say, whoops, I thought that, I said that, here it is, but it doesn't look exactly like I thought it was going to look. But the joy of, I'll speak to those of us in this room and those of us on the Zoom call, we know what to do. We know how to accept that the truth is we are potential Christ. We are not the chosen ones. We're the thinkers, we're the knowers, we're the doers. So therefore, we can re-examine ourselves and we move forward with every single breath we take. Don't ever think that you're stuck in the mud. You're not stuck in the mud. You might have to pull on those feet of yours, pull them up one at a time and walk around like you're walking through jello or you're walking through mud. But I would venture to say, because of myself, and I know that there are those of you that I am looking at and those of you that are listening that are just like me. You know who you are, you know what your potential is, and you continue to bless yourself and move forward. That's basically what did we see this past week. You got to know who you are. You've got to move forward. Let me get back to this text here because I'll be wandering here. This awareness moves us out of the traditional roles of hero, villain, and victim. Hero, villain, victim. Hero, villain, victim. Channel 2, Channel 4, Channel 6, Channel 12, Channel 20. C-SPAN is getting all this wonderful lauding from all the other stations because, oh my goodness, you got to go right in there last week, and you know what I'm talking about. You got to go right in there with your cameras and you got to show us exactly what happens. By this time in your life, you don't know that that's exactly what happens with everything that someone else is trying to decide for us. That's what happens within us as we decide what's going to happen to us and for us and about us. It's all good. It's all God. The joy is, again, those of you that I can see, those of you on Zoom, and anyone that interacts with you and myself, we are broadcasting, using our openness at the top. We are sharing who we are. As Holmes says, everyone is a potential Christ. What a wonderfulness to have. What a wonderfulness to be. Getting along with people is the, as I said, is the main. They call these essays in this particular book. And in this particular essay, Holmes wrote that the well-adjusted person, you and these folks here and those folks on the Zoom, and there are several million more, adjusted person is one who has been permitted to be an individual, but who also has learned to cooperate with others. And if you don't agree with that, what can I say? I guess that's your belief. But my belief is that those of us who live the principles of science of mind are those who have learned to cooperate with others. And you will find that information, as it says in the Declaration of Principles, but look in the Declaration of Principles in your textbook because it's a little off in this book. So I'm going to go to page 185.6 in Living the Science of Mind. But before I do, I want to read what's in your bulletin here. It says, "He who knows himself has come to know his Lord." In the dialogue of ancient days, in the current, not so much the current dialogue, he who knows himself has come to know his Lord. The Lord tended to be the master over someone. We're the master of ourselves. At least I feel I am. And I think the people that I I'm around, the people that I enjoy being with, the people that I interact with, that I choose to be within my sphere of life, are lords of themselves. Now that's a choice. We all know that we're all at choice. If there's not balance in your everyday life, if there is not harmony, if there is not love, if there is not peace, is there not right outcomes? Sometimes it takes more than 15 trials to get a right outcome. We know that we are, I said before, divine, and we know ourselves, and we continue to go forward. So I'm going to go to page 185.6 in the text in this particular book. I'm going to be going back and forth here. And it starts at the bottom, and this essay, as I said, is called Getting Along with People. All the way down the page, the sixth paragraph, the well-adjusted person is one who has been permitted to be an individual, but who has also learned to cooperate with others. Worth repeating, as I did. This attitude probably was formed way back in the early family life, for it is here that we become conditioned for the years ahead. Doesn't say that whatever happened to you when you were younger, whatever age you want to decide, that that's the way you are going to be for the rest of your life. And those of us within the sound of my voice tend to be already at a point in our lives where we pretty much know who we are, why we are, and who and what we're going to be, and why we want to be that particular way. But the formative years cannot be erased, can be analyzed, can be misunderstood or understood, depends on your perspective. But as the title is, Getting Along with People, today is so important, because we're surrounded by other people, and the interaction of our lives is not, I guess maybe I'm mistakenly saying it's not so one-on-one as it might have been many years ago, since there are more of us to be interactive with. So I'm going to start here with this essay in the middle of page 186, the third full paragraph. There is another thing that we can do, something that Jesus knew about, something he referred to when he said, "You must be born again." I don't know enough to say which particular philosophy or religious group claims to be born again, but in my coming of age, the age that I am, I have heard this expression a lot. And I don't know enough about somebody else's philosophy to speak to it, but must be born again. I totally agree with it. I totally agree with those words. I totally agree with those words. I did just a few minutes ago, getting out of my car, because last week I had forgotten something at home, and someone that went and picked it up for me. And that was, I think I explained last week that my lesson, I had left my papers at home. I was going to get out of the car and I looked around on the back seat. There wasn't the bag. I looked on the other side of me. There wasn't the bag. I do talk to myself. I berate myself a lot. And I called myself stupid and said, you didn't do that again. And then I went to move my leg because I got here about 10:15. And I moved my leg and it brushed the bag that was under my leg in the car. And in that bag was this book and my lesson. And I said, oh, good. So in that moment, I was born again. I wasn't that forgetful person. So I had to believe, and I bless the fact that I can be born again about whatever I choose to say. Woo, overcame that one again, overcame that new thing this time. Moving forward, always moving forward, always new birth. Continuing in the book here, and when they asked him how it could be possible for a man to be born again, he said, you must be born of the Spirit. It's that simple. Born of the Spirit. What do I believe? What do we believe that we are? Christ consciousness. Holmes, this man who encapsulated all these philosophies, and I'm going to go through a few of them today, is telling us the same thing, just in different words, different attitudes at different moments. If a moment in time sets you off, like just that simple thought this morning, the thought of trying to get back to my house and back to this church and on this podium without looking like a crazy woman. If I had bought into that and gotten crazy and didn't accept the fact, okay, here you go again, you got to slow down, you got to check things out, you got to be realistic. See, that's a gift. That's a gift of spirit. I know that I am God expressing. And in the peace and the harmony that can come through me when I slow down, when I relax, as you do, we can accomplish whatever it is that we're accomplishing. It's that simple. And when they asked him how it could be possible for a man to be born again, he said, you must be born of the Spirit. Of the Spirit. This is the new birth that comes through a new outlook on life. That's not Jesus' words. Those are Holmes' words. A new way of thinking, a new sense of our relationship to our environment, to the people around us, to ourselves, and lastly, but certainly not anything but allness, and to God. And that's in your bulletin. And to God. Wow. It was this relationship to God that Jesus placed first, for he said that if you find this, everything else will be added. He didn't say there's a multiplicity of stuff that you've got to learn, that you've got to read, that you've got to understand, that you've got to turn around 15 times, stand on your head, then jump backwards and then speak in tongues and whatever else, that, or get 15 books and read them before you understand. No, it goes back to that beginning of your family life. And then it goes completely, you must be born of the Spirit. So as we go forward in this awareness of who we are in this new reading awareness, this says this year, so we'll see how this evolves. So if you don't have this book, you might want to get it. If we do not merge with others in cooperation, in unity, and in happiness, we may be certain that there is something in us that still feels it has been rebuffed. I read that and I thought about it and I said, I like that. That there is something in us that still feels it has been rebuffed. Didn't say, oh, you failure, you. It didn't say, you've been reading this book and how many other books do you have in your bookcase? How many books did you read as you came through classwork? How many times have you heard a religious science minister speak? How many religious science friends do you have? And you still don't understand. That's not what it says. It says that there is something in us that still feels it has been rebuffed. I did not look up the word rebuffed, so I can't give you a scientific Webster's dictionary definition of it. But to me, it feels like something that I have way, I kind of have to do it literally here, way in the back of my mind, as much as we each know, as much as we have each experienced all different things and yet some the same, there's something that doesn't quite come up to the front, the forefront, the comfort zone of eating the same thing all the time. And yet in the refrigerator, you've got these, well, for me, let's just say it's certain vegetables. I rebuff them a lot and I eat what I like. Those certain vegetables might be the best thing for me. See, I know that, but I rebuff them and I choose something that I like a little bit better. So after this lesson today, and as we move through this year, as it says, we're going to use this book, let's just try not rebuffing some things that we may have in the past. Not just spiritual learnings and lessons, but friends. And yeah, we do rebuff some of our friends' suggestions. Friends, family members, people that we see that go through 15 votes, things that we are aware of that we rebuff, but maybe some of these things are really the more important things we ought to be eating, or the more important things that we ought to be listening to, so that we learn something new. Something new. What is the title of this? Getting along with people. Getting along with how your country is run. Listening to what you're rebuffing about what somebody who is in control of what your life is going to be, and saying, I've been eating this wonderful message, so to speak, for so long that I'm rebuffing something over here. Maybe it's not as comfortable, but maybe there's something to be said in that I need to look at, because it's affecting my life. And is not how your life is flowing and going and important to you, to maybe look at some of the things in our lives that we've rebuffed. It's certainly up to you to decide how you want to do, where you want to do, why you want to be, and who you want to be. But I'm thinking with the new year, as we do go into Science of Mind, beginning at the first 4 chapters, how it works, what it does. I can't even recite them off to you in the correct order, but think about it. So I'm going to skip backwards in the book here, and I'm going to go to page 89. And the principle as it is written here is, we believe in the incarnation of the Spirit in man, and that all men are incarnations of the one Spirit. So if there's only one thing to learn, when we all gonna learn it? When we all gonna decide to stop rebuffing and really check in with ourselves to see who we are? So I'm going to start with these different philosophies. The first one says, the sentence starts with, the Quran says, we created man and we know what his soul whispereth to him, and we are closer to him than his neck vein. In religious science, I'm not sure if that's where it originated from. I think it's the Bible. Closer than hands and feet. This Quran says, closer to him than his neck vein. Spirit is the true essence of who we are. If we are so set in our ways, if we think we are so intelligent, if we think we are so good, if we think we are so perfect, why not take a chance and really look at oneself and get a little more perfect, get a little more holy, get a little more balanced, get a little more healthy? Some of these other philosophies might be something you might want to decide to read. In the Talmud, and this is the base of Jewish law and theology, we read, this is from the book, first, no atom of matter in the whole vastness of the universe is lost. How then can man's soul, which is the whole world in one idea, be lost? Interesting. How can you ever not be correct? How can you ever be wrong? Maybe it's that other word. What I lost the page. What did I say it was? Anybody remember? Want to help me here? That I'll find it. I'll find it. When I said that we must look at things anew. You must look at yourself anew every single moment. The first thing I did this morning when I wasn't sure if I had left this book home, it wasn't, June, you know you can find that, you know you can relax, you know the book's here. It was criticism of me, of myself. It was doubting my spirit, my essence. It was going back to negativity that I have put in and built in and hammered in so many times. Look back, reevaluate the number of times you've been correct instead of looking at the times you haven't been. The next one is, the following quotations are drawn from various Hindu scriptures. The ego is beyond all dis-ease, free from all imagination and all pervading. The ego is beyond all dis-ease, free from all imagination and all pervading. As from a fire 1,000 ways similar sparks proceed, so beloved are produced living cells of various kinds from the indestructible. The indestructible has a capital I. A little bit different language, but again, why are we questioning who we are? All these different philosophies believe that they too are pure spirit, and they are. If ye knew God as he ought to be known, ye would walk under seas, and the mountains would move at your call. If you believed. If we believed. This is similar to the teachings of Jesus when he said that if we had faith the size of a grain of mustard seed, we could say unto the mountain, and I think we all know this one, remove hence to yonder place. The explanation for that comment is there that within every soul which conquers hunger, thirst, grief, disillusion, old age, and death. Those things mentioned are extremely fearful to us. I'll say to me, as a human being. If it's yours, you can claim it too. Hunger, thirst, grief, delusion, old age, and death. When you look at it, when you think about it, these are things we want the opposite of, but they are the truth of God. And as they occur, they are in perfect and divine order. That's a whole nother talk. Moving on in this book down to the next paragraph. Let him rise the self. Oh, this is, I'm going to stop at this point, but you really need to listen or to look this up because there's a lot of self references, but the small s self and the capital self. So I'll distinguish the two. Let him rise the self by the self, the capital self, and not let the self, small self, become depressed, for verily is the self, capital self, the friend of the small self, and also the capital self, the self's enemy. The self, capital, is the friend of the small self, of him in whom the small self, by the capital self, is vanquished, but to the unsubdued self, small self. All it's saying, God is in charge. But this is it's really, really interesting if you have this book to just look at it and see the capitals and the small, and it just soaks in so quickly. The self, large God self, verily becometh hostile as an enemy. God never becomes an enemy. And it goes on with these capital and small selves, and the basis of the whole statement is God is all there is. And there's a song we used to sing, God is all there is nothing more. Nothing more. And the last one I'm going to read, and I'm going to have the song played, and the reader's going to come up. The Hermetic philosophy, which is referenced in your bulletin, tells us that if we would know God, we must be like him, for like is knowable to like alone. You have to know God in order for other people, yourself first, other people to see the godness in you, they will see it in themselves. Make thyself to grow to the same stature as the greatness which transcends all measure. Conceiving nothing is impossible unto thyself. Think thyself deathless and able to know all arts, all sciences, the way of every life. Think of yourself as deathless. Nothing can be unknown to you. It may be worth to you to buy this book to reread some of these quotes, because they're so interesting and they're so right on. So I'm going to not go any further into this, but try and get the book. We have some in the bookstore. I'm going to have the music played. It is very quick. So if the reader would come up, the very first one.
Happy New Year. That was cute. The new year 2023 will be our year. Yes, there will be big changes and events happening. However, we stay the observer and continue to choose love over fear. We also no longer need to carry, pull up, or heal anyone. It is done. The collective has shifted. The divine is now back in control. Take time for yourself. As much is still shifting, but know we can finally love fully, unconditional, with open heart. This is how it was meant to be, and to not live apart, to be one with all, to be whole again, to feel complete, to be given this new life with the divine on the driver's seat, with much love and divine blessings. David Alexander Lightfoot. Ernest Holmes uses the book of Job in the Old Testament to describe the difference between living from the ego self and living from the divine self, or, as he says, the divine incarnation in all people. Job thought he had an ego separate from the thing itself, and he got into all kinds of trouble because of this. He was on his own and finally ended up in sackcloth and ashes, and his wife told him that he might as well curse God and die. But at that point, Mr. Job remembered something, that there is an integrity to the soul, a reality to the spirit. With this deeper self-awareness, this spiritual identification, he reached back through himself to the cause of everything that is and discovered God. From the essay, The Ego in Living the Science of Mind, page 155, paragraph 3 and 4. And so it is, and so I let it be.
Amen. Thank you. Well, we have going to hear just a little bit of a song that's pick her upper. Anyway, our sound is not real clear, and I thought I had sent the one that just showed the words. but what it was saying was welcome to life. So we'll move on to do our closing and call to action and our treatment. So the call to action that I want you to look at is in your bulletin. And the last mention from the Living the Science of Mind for today is 186.4. This is the new birth. This is the new birth that comes through a new outlook on life, a new way of thinking, a new sense of our relationship to our environment, to the people around us, to ourselves, and to God. That was said quite a bit this morning. Again, if you would like to get the book, if it's going to be used all year, it might be nice to have in order to reflect back on. So I just took a sigh, a deep breath, my shoulders relaxed a little bit. We're going to move into our form of prayer, spiritual mind treatment. And the joy for me in the many classes that I have taken, the many people who I have heard pray, I know that there is not one way to do this. The one essence of doing this is to believe in your own word, believe in your own consciousness, believe in the truth that God is all there is. And in the truth that I am one with God. I am pure spirit. And the truth of me is the truth of you. And as we know this truth, accept this truth, live this truth, there is no reason not to speak directly to the essence and the truth of our own heart, which is the heart of God. Speak your word for prosperity. Oh, there's so many forms of it. A new home, enough money in your bank account, enough money in your wallet, enough money to be safe, to have enough food, for love, to have enough love in your heart and in your soul and around you, to know that you are the spirit, the essence and the truth of God. Loving is what brings this to you. Loving yourself, loving those around you that you allow to be around you in your truth. Why not? The essence and perfection of harmony and balance, the honest truth of being clear, clarity, knowledge, wisdom. We all have these divine qualities of God. Let's use them as we renew this new year comes in and brings us new perspectives, brings us new awarenesses, brings us the thankfulness of previous occurrences in our lives, the previous people in our lives. All this is a mixture and a mash and a justification of the joy and the essence and the truth of this right now moment, to sing the praises of God, the universal allness that expresses as the individualization of each and every one of us, each and every animate, inanimate object on this earth, this planet Earth. Be in the glory, the presence, the allness of God every moment that you breathe, every moment in what you see, hear, think, give away through your mouth, through your eyes, through your voice, through your physical presence, whatever it is, recognize that we are one and that we do get along. Be wise enough to evaluate, be wise enough to use whatever it is to the best of your ability, to the best of your knowledge, and certainly to the sense and the truth of the God essence that you are. Simple. It's simple. God is all there is. And as we know this truth, we give thanks for it. It with a capital I, it with a small I. And we just lower our shoulders again, just taking a deep breath, recognizing that we are one. And knowing that this is the truth and giving thanks for it, together we say, and so it is. Amen, amen, and amen. Okay, couple minutes. Okay, we're moving along. Happy birthday, Reverend Leora. Yesterday, she's special soul. I know she's saying, just get on with it. So let's get on with the morning, get on with the day, get on with the week, get on with the year. So bless us all. And I guess we'll sing the peace song. There's enough of us to make about 5 sections of a choir. So blessings be. And I'll turn it back over to you, Lynette.
Well, thank you, Reverend June, for all that wonderful message, all that wonderful work that you put in to bring us this message. And we so appreciate it. We use it as food for thought. And we just, let's give her a hand. So please join me now as I say the benediction. And we just, like Reverend June said, we just lower our shoulders. And we turn ourselves to the God within, but knowing that God is all there is and everything and everyone. We just give thanks. Thanks for each and every one there. I just bless this community. I bless each and every one's health and prosperity and life and love and joy and peace. May you all have a beautiful week as we go forth using these lessons of getting along with people, using these lessons that we can be open at the top and share the love and the joy and the peace and the forgivingness and the givingness that God is within us. And we just give it forth and let it flow. And so with a grateful heart, I release this prayer into the law, knowing that all good things are in effect. And until we meet again next week, know you're loved and you are blessed. And together we say, and so it is, and let it be. Amen. I think there's a few announcements. Reverend June, do you want to do the announcements?
You read my mind. Thank you. We're coming into the new year. So February, we've got some special things coming along, and not one that's coming along, but one that is done every year here at Miracle Center. And that is our annual meeting, which will be at the end of February. And there'll be some new events coming up in February, workshop from Reverend Leora And we're just looking again, this financial business that we have is blessed. It's wonderful. It's our truth, and we're going to do it. So keep in mind as you mail in your tithes, just bless us. And us is Miracle Center for Spiritual Living. And with the expression of that is this building, which we are going to bless with a payoff very, very soon in the future. So I bless you all. Give thanks for the wonderful support of last year, and let's continue it and help it to grow. Thank you.